In this Godfall Beginner Getting Started guide, we'll be providing you with all the information you need in order to get started with the action RPG/slasher looter Godfall. Godfall is a rather simple game, but some mechanics can be overlooked, so in this guide we will help you understand everything you need to know in order to become a master Valorian Knight. In order to get off on the right foot with Godfall, understanding the basic mechanics of the game is key for success. We'll go over the basic combat, enemy attacks, healing, weapons, crafting, recommended skills, and more. The first thing you should learn when you start playing Godfall is how the combat in each type of weapon works, as each type has its own unique moveset and techniques. All enemies have a fixed set of moves that you will learn as you fight them. There are 3 types of enemy attacks and they differ in how you can react to them. Normal attacks. The enemy will just attack you with its standard moveset. You can use your shield to parry the attack to prevent damage, and you can also perform a timed parry to leave them vulnerable. Blue attacks. These types of attacks can only be performed by elite enemies and bosses. The enemy will glow blue and then perform a powerful attack. The best way to react to these attacks is to perform a timed parry, as it will cancel the attack and leave the enemy vulnerable for a small period of time. Red attacks. These type of attacks can only be performed by elite enemies and bosses. This attack cannot be parried, as if you use your shield, you will only mitigate part of the damage. You can try to attack the enemy to stagger it to cancel the attack, dodge backwards and wait for it to finish, or use the shield attack to cancel it. You can heal yourself by using lifestone charges. The amount of healing depends on the lifestone type that you currently have equipped, and some of them provide buffs or additional effects when consumed. To regain lifestone charges, you will need to pick up green orbs dropped by enemies. In Godfall, you have 2 weapons equipped at the same time and quickly swap between them during battle, so it's a good idea to have an AoE weapon and a single target weapon complementing each other in combat. Longswords are best used against a single target. They have a moderate attack speed and deal a decent amount of damage. Their Northern technique performs several attacks against a single target, while the Southern technique allows you to perform a forward attack that damages enemies in a straight line. Dual blades are the fastest attack weapon in the game. They deal low damage but compensate this with their fast and consecutive attacks. Their Northern technique increases your damage output for a small amount of time, while their Southern technique acts like a hook that can be used to bring enemies closer to you. Polearms are my favourite type of weapon, as they allow you to perform moderate damage from a safe distance. Polearms are best used with a hit and run strategy. Their Northern technique allows you to jump towards the enemy, performing a small AoE, while the Southern technique throws a polearm, dealing high single target damage from a safe distance. The reason why I like the polearm so much is because of its reliability in combat. You can fight from a safe distance and keep yourself out of harm's way very easily. When enemies perform an AoE attack, you can use the Southern technique to damage them while you wait for the attack to finish. Warhammers, on the other hand, have the slowest attack speed in the game, but they compensate this with their incredible damage and AoE attacks. They are best used against groups of enemies but require some distance between you and the enemy to start off the attacks. Their Northern technique creates a devastating AoE that can briefly stun enemies, while the Southern technique releases a ranged attack that deals damage forward in a straight line. Greatswords act very similarly to Warhammers but are more balanced in respect to their damage and attack speed. They mostly perform horizontal attacks, which can be very effective against numerous melee enemies. Their Northern technique makes you swing the weapon in a circle pattern while moving forward, while their Southern attack throws the greatsword forward and then comes back to you, dealing damage twice to the enemy. I personally found it useful to use a polearm in combination with a greatsword, allowing me to keep a safe distance at all times, while dealing with both single targets and large groups. Another good combination is either longsword or dual blades accompanied by a warhammer to deal with multiple enemies at a time. Skills play a huge part in how your character performs in battle. Some basic movements such as weapon techniques must be unlocked by placing a single point into that skill, so it's important to know what each skill does and how it will affect your character. The skill tree is shaped into a square and you can place attributes starting at any corner. Each skill can be increased up to 5 levels and there are no level restrictions whatsoever. You will acquire 1 skill point each time you level up, and you'll also earn them from completing certain missions during your playthrough. Godfall allows you to reset your skill tree at any given time. It's completely free, so you can experiment with different builds. You can even respec while you're on a mission or even before a boss fight, so feel free to try out each skill and see which of them works best for you. During early stages of the game, I highly recommend that you take at least 1 point in the following: 1 point weapon techniques. This will unlock the northern and southern techniques of all weapons, greatly increasing your combat capabilities. It should be your first pick. Put 1 point into finesse. Adding a single point into finesse will unlock a slide that you can perform after a dodge. This will greatly improve your ability to dodge enemy attacks and to quickly get away from danger. Put 1 point into polarity attacks. This will provide you with a free AoE attack when you fill up the bar and swap weapons, as well as increasing your damage output by 20%, which is a lot, for 30 seconds. I also recommend that you assign at least 3 points into Might and Vitality. This will grant you 120 additional stat points, greatly increasing both your damage output and survivability. From here, you can assign the following skill points as you see fit. Remember to check each skill and respec to test out how they perform. A great way of doing this is by visiting the training area located on the right door behind the 7th Sanctum. Some other skills that you might want to take a look at are Soul Shatter. In my opinion, Soul Shatter is one of the best skills in the game and should be used in all builds. By using your normal attack and your northern technique, you'll generate a Soul Shatter build-up on your enemy. You will notice that the Soul Shatter build-up has a white mark on the enemy's health. Once you use a heavy attack or a southern technique, the Soul Shatter build-up will be consumed, dealing damage to the enemy for the same amount that was built up. You should also be aware that if you kill an enemy with Soul Shatter, it will explode. Ailments. Ailments provide you with a passive chance to inflict any of the various status ailments against your enemies. If you attack out of the skill, you will also deal 20% more damage for each status ailment that the enemy has, and this can scale very quickly. Shield attacks. This skill increases the effectiveness of your shield and allows you to perform powerful ranged attacks. The most interesting feature about this skill is its level 5 perk, which allows you to perform a unique move that interrupts an enemy's red power attack. This is the most reliable way to prevent this type of attack, so you should really think about adding this to your build. Takedown. This skill allows you to quickly perform a takedown after blocking an enemy attack. This can be especially useful against shielded enemies as their shield becomes ineffective against this type of attack. Rampage. By quickly landing several attacks, you'll get a 20% damage boost. This skill works best with dual blades due to its attack speed. There are 12 Valorplates in Godfall, each of them providing a unique passive bonus and Archon form. Archon forms act like an ultimate ability that you can use when the bar is filled, greatly increasing your combat abilities. In order to unlock Valorplates, you'll need to first find their required resources. Most resources can be found by exploring the 3 different realms: Earth, Water, and Air. As you explore these locations, you'll stumble across interactable objects that give you that area-specific resource. Some special resources can only be obtained from bosses or missions. You should choose a Valorplate based on the type of build you are using, as most of them increase a specific skill or status effect. Depending on your build, the Archon form might take a long time to charge, so save it up for when you need it most. In addition to their passive abilities, Valorplates have augmentation slots that will be unlocked as you level up. You can insert augmentations into these slots to further increase your combat capabilities. The drain stat on the augments indicate the amount of energy that is required to insert that augment. Each piece of equipment is affected by 5 different stats: item level, rarity, upgrade level, primary effect, and secondary effect. The item level has a big impact on the damage, primary effect, and secondary effect of all items. You can find the same piece of equipment with different level requirements, and the higher it is, the more powerful the item will be. The item level depends on the level of the area where you found it. Weapon rarity affects the main effect of the item. For example, for weapons, it affects damage output. Rarity also affects the amount and type of primary and secondary effects that an item will have. Common has no primary or secondary effect. Uncommon has 1 random primary effect and no secondary effect. Rare has 1 random primary effect and 1 secondary effect, while Epic has 1 random primary effect and 2 secondary effects, and Legendaries have 1 unique primary effect and 3 secondary effects. You can upgrade all items up to +5. Upgrading an item will increase its main effect at +3. You'll be able to enhance one of its secondary effects, and at +5, you'll be able to choose an additional secondary effect. Primary effect. This effect is fixed to the weapon or item. Legendary items have unique and more powerful effects that are not available to regular weapons. Secondary effect. These effects are random, and the amount of the power an item has depends on its rarity and upgrade level. Players can upgrade and enhance their items at the base once they complete the Godsmith quest near the beginning of the game. Interact with the forge to start upgrading your equipment. There are two different ways to enhance your equipment. All the items you will have a base level of +0. As previously mentioned, all the equipment can be upgraded to +5. Greatly increasing the weapon capabilities. You'll need resources that can be found by defeating enemies, completing missions, and salvaging other equipment. Most equipment in the game, with the exception of augmentations and common items, can be enhanced, which results in a rarity level increase. So you can upgrade any eligible item up to legendary. Its primary stat won't change, but its effect will be vastly superior. Merits are a kind of achievement that you can complete to earn rewards in the game. These are a great way to earn the different types of currency required to upgrade your equipment, so make sure you to check them out and complete them to increase your progression speed. Final notes and tips. Remember to place your banner. Given its long cooldown, it's easy to forget to place your banner during a fight. Try to get used to doing it, as it will greatly increase your combat capabilities. Make sure to salvage any items that you won't be using anymore. Most items will become useless once you outlevel them. Make sure to salvage them to further upgrade your current equipment. The realm bosses will require you to gather sigils in order to face them. You can acquire these sigils by completing hunting missions of that particular realm. If you need further help, make sure to visit our Godfall wiki, where you can find further details about all loot, Valorplates, skills, and builds. If you haven't yet, make sure to check out our Godfall review.